Coming up on today's ESPN FC, all the highlights from what turned out to be an action-packed game between Arsenal and Liverpool at the Emirates. All the boys' reaction next. Welcome in then to the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. We'll also welcome former Fulham striker and US international Brian McBride to the show. Let's kick off, shall we? Monday night action at the Emirates. Arsenal taking on Liverpool. What a game this turned out to be. It was a frantic first half, starting off with Coutinho hitting the crossbar.
Well, he's a little unfortunate. Takes it nice and early. Check's beaten. Unfortunately, the crossbar wasn't.
Oh, he's not very happy with that.
Later, Arsenal had the ball in the back of the net. It was ruled out for offside. Was it the right decision?
No, it wasn't. So you could see Skirtle just late getting up, and then away to the pass. Takes it nice and early.
Well, they're getting some luck at the moment, Liverpool, aren't they?
Yep.
Right, last week, offside goal given. This one was a good one, chopped off.
5 minutes before the break, Benteke denied by Czech.
That certainly wasn't luck.
I mean, it's a wonderful save, but that ball has to be put in the back of the net. I'm sorry.
Brendan thought it was in.
Should have had no chance with it.
I tell you, it's not as good as this save. Watch this from Coutinho. Go and get me a cup of tea, son.
Ooh.
And that is an absolutely brilliant fingertip. And has he made up, Petr Cech, with that performance for the one against West Ham? You'd bet your bottom dollar.
I mean, that's in all the way.
Yeah.
Until he gets that finger on it.
Second half wasn't quite as much end-to-end. Arsenal dominating things. This arguably their best chance. Alexis Sanchez hitting the post.
And I'd like to see more of this. You can see how many players in the box for Arsenal. You could see had players running off, and unfortunately just doesn't get around that ball.
Olivier Giroud here.
That's got to be a goal.
He was pulled back a little bit.
And nobody touched him. He fell over. Watch.
Right there.
Nobody touched him.
What about appeals for a penalty here on Benteke?
Yeah, listen, I think you could definitely call it right here, but also I think Jordan Ibe just needs to be alive a little bit quicker. That ball floated in there. If he's alive, he can get there and put that game away.
So it finishes Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0. Stevie, I believe you used to play for Liverpool.
Oh, now and again.
What did you make of this?
At half-time, I was delighted with the performance, but disappointed with the scoreline. And I always knew that not taking the chances, and of course, that's maybe a little harsh because Petr Cech has come up with 2 world-class saves to keep Arsenal in the game. I figured that the second half would change, it always does. I was disappointed that Liverpool were so deep and they just let Arsenal come at them for that second half. But they kept them out, kept a clean sheet. Mignolet made a good save from Giroud. So overall, I guess I've got to be happy with a point away at Arsenal.
You can always tell when Stevie gets nervous last 20 minutes because there was some cookies arrived and he never come up for air.
Yeah, because normally Stevie passes on the cookies regularly.
I tell you what, when you saw that team sheet though without Mertesacker and Koscielny, you were like, whoa, this could get messy. And I mean, I don't tend to criticise young players, but Chambers has not had much game time. He had a torrid first half. They need to get the 2 main centre-halves fit. It's as simple as that. They were bailed out by Petr Cech.
So is a point a good result for Arsenal then, considering?
I think in the end, because that first half Liverpool overran them. I never saw an Arsenal side give the ball away as many times as they did. It just kept coming back and back and back, and they're trying to play little silly balls out of their own penalty area. Petr Cech gave one out to Bellerin, and it almost cost him a goal when he gave it away. It was never ending in the first half, and in many ways Arsenal got away with it. But I'll still say, with the Liverpool sitting in, you've got to have somebody better than Giroud for me at finishing. If you're going to be in the title race and all this nonsense about Benzema,
yeah.
He tweeted today, didn't he?
Yeah, he came out and tweeted to all those clowns saying, I'm leaving.
He's talking about you.
I have never said he's leaving. Why would he leave Real Madrid? Come on. He is definitely staying at Madrid. He came out and said, we've talked about this. We talked about Giroud a lot on this show in the past, Brian. Stevie hates him. What's your take on Olivier?
I like him. I like him.
Is he a good enough striker to lead a team to a title?
Yes, I don't have a problem with it. What my thing is, if you're going to play a center forward like that, and I touched on it in that little highlight, you need to get more people in the box around him. Because if all this nice intricate passing and movement outside the box and lovely stuff, but if you don't get someone that can actually run through and try and draw another center back away from your main striker, you're not going to find a lot of space. If they can hit him quick, I think that's a good way to do it. If they can get more balls into the box when they actually have someone else running, he'll have more chances. For me, I was
How many chances does he need?
I was impressed by how Arsenal changed, because they realized Callum Chamber was just keep giving the ball away, keep giving the ball. They actually played the ball straight from check up the field, and you didn't see Arsenal do that much. And I think that's why the second half was a lot easier for them.
Tell you what, you need a goal-scoring centre forward to win a title.
Who do you get it? Who do you get? See,
at the present time, I'm not sure that there's anybody that fits that bill, but I know who doesn't, and that's Giroud. Because a top-class striker today would have won the points for Arsenal. That one chance, 5 yards from goal, and somehow he fell over, didn't get any pace on the shot, and Mignolet saved it. That's the difference between winning and losing titles.
well, I would say he did get touched. Now, what you don't feel he didn't, right? But as a striker, and you're setting yourself in your feet, and you just a little bit of a pull, as you know,
He fell over.
his timing got pulled back.
He fell
He
over.
barely got a foot to it. That's why it was so weak.
Balance. There's a thing called balance.
Balance.
The best
The guy
players have got
pulling you,
great
it's a lot
balance. Look at
difficult than
Messi.
you think.
You know, when Messi's getting pulled and kicked and pushed and all kinds of stuff
It's
all
because
the
the
time.
center of
How many
gravity is
times
this
do you-
close to the
Oh,
ground.
centre of gravity, well.
A foul or a
Maybe
Shearer.
Giroud needs a better centre of gravity.
A Fowler, a Shearer, a Van Nistelrooy, a Cole, a York, somebody like that would get 25, 30 goals in this Arsenal side, year in, year out, because they create a lot of chances. They've got a lot of playmakers in there. Those guys that I mentioned that have sort of finished now would have been licking their lips week in, week out, playing in this team. There's a week tomorrow to the transfer window closes. What is Arsene Wenger going to do? He's made one big acquisition in Petr Cech, which has been excellent after the
But Brian asked the
didn't.
question, didn't he? Who? This is the problem.
Well, there's no point sitting your hands all summer and then wait until the last minute and say, well, Benzema's just put a tweet out, he's not coming. Last year it was Danny Welbeck. We went and got Danny Welbeck. You've got to make things happen a little bit earlier.
It's called planning. It's called planning. They clearly haven't planned well. Full stop.
Or the manager believes in him. I mean, that's...
Well, it's foolish. It's
Tell you what,
foolish.
how long's he been there?
I don't know, 5 years?
And he's still not. He still hasn't produced the goods. How long do you give somebody like him?
There was one season where he was actually on fire and then he got injured. Like I said, no, I understand. There hasn't been a full season where he's done it. I think he can add all the goals you're talking about. Maybe not at the class that you're talking about, but
that's what they need.
enough.
That's what they need.
They don't because they have so many people that need the ball and want the ball. They need to be able to share it too. So I think the other guys pop in with goals all the time. The substitutions
but not enough.
so important.
Because if they're popping in with enough goals, they'd be winning the league, which they're not. I mean, you've got Antoine Griezmann at Atletico Madrid. You had Carlos Bacca that left Sevilla with a clause in his contract, gone to AC Milan. I mean, AC Milan ain't going to win anything. He was one of the top strikers, Colombian international. Scored a bagload of goals in La Liga last year.
Didn't have a shot on target this weekend, though, for Milan.
Well, no wonder playing for Milan. But what have Arsenal done? They've said, no, we're going to go with Giroud again. We're going to give Theo Walcott a new contract because he can come on and play through the middle. Really? I don't think so.
And meanwhile, for Liverpool, you were hesitant at the start of the season, Stevie, to say whether or not they'd finish in the top four. I think you had them some ridiculous tie with Manchester United. Now, 3 games in, unbeaten. I think it's fair to ask the question.
Listen, if you can go to one of the title contenders and outplay them for 45 minutes.
So Arsenal are title contenders now, are they? Because 2 minutes ago...
We sat here all off-season saying that Arsenal this year can...
No, we didn't.
They did so.
Dan, he just said to Brian, you'll never win a title with Giroud as your striker, and now 2 minutes later, they're title contenders.
We sat here, and when they signed Petr Cech, you said they could be title contenders.
No, I didn't. No, I
I'll
didn't.
tell you what, you've got some memory there.
I have got some memory. I never said that.
Through some tape.
I said
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'll be looking through.
Oh, you can't watch
Listen,
your
the
DVR.
point
What's
is,
wrong
here's
with
the
you?
point. The point
It's
is,
VHS.
the point is, from Liverpool's point of view, going to title contenders and outplaying them for 45 minutes tells me that Liverpool are capable of getting in the top 4.
Right, capable is very different to will.
I mean, come on. You want me to say yes, they will, so that next week when they get beat, you can say, oh yeah, they're going to do it now.
That's how this show works, yes,
well,
pretty much.
All right, they will, yeah.
They will finish top 4.
Yeah. You got what you wanted.
OK, from one goalless draw to another then. In La Liga, Real Madrid were held away against Sporting Gijón, a newly promoted side from Segunda B. People weren't particularly happy on comments that were made on the website suggesting there may be a crisis now at Real Madrid. After this, the reason, of course, people were alluding to the fact is not only did they not score against a team that they really should be scoring a hatful against, but this has been precedented in pre-season where they've been failing to score a lot.
I thought they were OK in pre-season, to be honest with you, for what pre-season means.
Well, they weren't good against Sporting, though, then, were they? Let's talk about that.
No, Sporting Gijón come up from the Spanish second division. They were gutsy, determined, could have scored themselves, hit the crossbar, and made a game of it. And yes, Real Madrid were not at their best, and yes, this is a coach that is going to be under an awful lot of pressure this year. Of course he is, and he knows that. And he's got to get the balance of his team right. I was surprised he left James Rodriguez out. He went with Hesse, he went with Bale in the central role, and it didn't work.
You're saying this quite almost like, well, it won't matter. But we know it does matter in the big picture of things in La Liga, because a draw is almost like a loss, considering how many points or how fewer points the big two lose.
Well, let's all panic then.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he's going to leave...
just panic.
If he's going to leave Bale where he is, underneath the striker, then they better start panicking.
It's going to kill him.
Because it's just not his position. And I can't figure out why Benitez wouldn't look to the first 6 months of last season and the shape of the team and who was playing where, because they were the best team on the planet at that stage. So why would you not use that as some sort of blueprint? I know Benzema was out. They had to try and play Hesse. But why don't you realise that this team were unstoppable in that particular way? Bale on one wing, Ronaldo on the other wing.
Seems simple.
Oh, yeah. You wish soccer was simple, right? Listen, I think we also have to look at the fact a team that's coming up from, like you touched on, Craig, about the fact a team that's coming up into a promotion scenario, they actually not only will fight their tails off, but they have a lot of belief. You know, they're used to winning games. They're used to putting themselves into positions where to maybe nick a goal. And you have that team camaraderie to close the ball down. And when you do that, especially against a Real Madrid team who loves to run in behind, you're going to limit the chances, at least for them to score. And then, of course, if they're not on their game, you're even have a better chance. And look what they got. They got a tie.
When you go to a team that playing as narrow as that, and that's what these teams will do. They'll try and narrow the game. The one thing you try and get is a bit of width into your game. Now, Ronaldo wants to come inside. Bale's playing more central. That's not what he's best at. If you remember the goal he scored in the Copa del Rey final over a year or so ago, when he ran down that left-hand side and completely outstripped people for pace, that's where Bale's at his best, not in the middle where there's too many bodies. He did it for Tottenham a little bit from a central area, but in Spain they'll really try and narrow it to block out Real Madrid. And I think that will kill Gareth Bale, who had a pretty poor season last year, was given a lot of stick by the Real Madrid fans. Benitez won't do him any favours by playing him in a central role.
Well, after the break, we return to the Premier League and Brian's prediction that Manchester City won't finish in the top 4, and Craig saying that Pedro wouldn't start at Chelsea. More reaction after these messages.
I've never seen so much excitement over a player who's a sub in Pedro. Honestly, is that what we've come to? Is that what the game has come to, that they're so excited about a guy that can't get a game for another team?
That was Craig Burley on Friday's Extra Time. Pedro making his debut for Chelsea, starting and scoring and providing an assist as well for Diego Costa.
That was a shot.
What?
That was a shot. It was Second one was a shot.
You said...
I think you're right, that was fact. He was a sub at Barcelona for a long time,
yeah,
so that was a fact.
You said, when we were talking about why...
I wasn't the only one.
Pardon?
I wasn't the only one.
Well, the fact...
Hey, don't bring me in.
Hey, since when have you tried to shift the blame?
One swallow does not make a summer.
What are you doing? What are you saying?
Well, I'm just saying to you, you know, Oscar wasn't there, Willian tucked inside, Pedro played in the right, injected a little bit of pace, great debut, scoring, and we'll give him that assist. Worked out for him on this particular occasion. I still think there'll be times where Pedro might not get a game.
Oh, Craig, now you've completely changed your story. You said, why would you go and sit on the bench at Chelsea from sitting on the bench at Barcelona when you could walk into the Manchester United team? That's exactly what you said.
speak the truth.
That is the truth.
It's not the truth. And Stevie said the same thing.
Stop bringing Stevie into this.
No,
Keep bringing me into this.
because you said the same thing. I didn't say, nailed on, Pedro will not play at Chelsea. I said, the difficulty is he may not be a cert to play at Chelsea week in, week out, and that's a worry for the player.
But he's a cert now, surely.
But it's just one game, for God's sake.
It's one game. It's West Brom away, by the way.
Hey, but having said that,
it was good.
He's not going to not start the next game for Chelsea.
Oh, there's
is he?
2 games. I mean, oh my God, Real Madrid's a crisis after one game losing, and Pedro's the greatest player that ever walked the planet.
No, you
after
said
one
if
game.
you were Pedro, you would have gone to United because you would have guaranteed a starting place.
Yes.
But he seems to be guaranteed a place at Chelsea starting.
What, after one game?
Well, he started though, didn't he?
Yes, but who's to say that's going to continue for another 30, 40, 50 games this season? You don't know. Chelsea have a bigger squad.
How you doing, Brian?
I'm good.
What do you make of Chelsea's starts this season?
Well, I've always liked Pedro, and I wanted Pedro at Manchester. I said Pedro would be a great fit for Manchester United because of the fact that the way Louis van Gaal wants to play. Jose Mourinho, it fits that style too. The way they play side to side but have integral passing. You've got a striker who they can bounce the ball off of, which, at Barcelona he didn't really have. So that ability to run off of people but also serve balls into the box knowing that someone's there, I think he's a good fit. Listen, is he going to start? I don't think anyone at Chelsea is going to start every single game besides Costa and
Hazard.
Yeah, Hazard. Unless he's healthy, good one. Yep. Courtois. But that's it. I mean, everybody
Matic,
else will be.
Matic, yeah.
Fabregas.
No, Matic won't. He won't. He won't. You've said
I'll take you up on that one.
Mikel
John
comes in some of the cup games. Oh yeah.
Oh, the League Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
No, not League Cup. FA Cup. I'm telling you. You said every single game.
Once again, though, Chelsea looking quite frail defensively.
I agree.
Considering what is they base their success on. John Terry, of course, a red card. He's going to be out.
Stripped for pace.
Ivanovic as well. But Manaman turned him inside out.
Manaman's a good player, by the way. He's going to be a good player for West Brom. But Ivanovic has struggled at the start of the season. Big time. And I heard somebody say, oh, Kurt Zouma was out of position for John Terry. What was Kurt Zouma to do with John Terry's goal? The ball get played in. He was wrong side, he got outstripped for pace, and he tugged the shot.
It was a red card, yeah?
I think it was. There was enough contact to go down, and it was denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity. I've not got a problem with it.
Straight down for pace.
Yep.
End of story, that's all.
Obviously, it looks like he's going to miss, 3 matches? Yeah. John Terry now. Yeah. When he returns...
John Stones.
Does he walk straight back into the starting 11, Terry?
Easy.
Yeah?
I think he does.
Yeah. Right.
Listen,
without question.
I have a little thought of why he pulled Terry.
Go on then.
I think it was a message to Stones saying, listen, there isn't somebody here that's going to be always here. As much as Terry is an ever-present, I think that was sort of like, hey, listen, there's going to be an opportunity for you. That was my take on it, being an Everton fan. I was like, whoa, wait a second. That was just to pull him at halftime for, nobody was having a good game. I just thought it was pretty much like, this is.
If you were John Stones, you'd go to Chelsea now, wouldn't you?
No.
Why not?
I wouldn't. He's still not going to play every day. He still has some growing to do. He's been fantastic so far in the start of the season. I think he's becoming more of a leader. He's playing next to a leader himself in Jagielka. And I think you can learn a lot more. You're going to be put in positions as a defender at Everton that you're not going to be put in necessarily at Chelsea, and that will help you become a better player.
He's not ready yet. The one thing he does that he'll learn about is he dives in the box. In the penalty box, you get close, you get tight. You can't afford to go diving in. That's just experience. He's still doing that right now. So to go to Chelsea and do that is going to put a lot of pressure on him, and it might kill him. So he has to wait till he's ready before he goes to Chelsea or any other big team that wants him.
Let's not forget this is a game for Chelsea that West Brom missed an early penalty as well.
Yeah,
it could have been such a big turning point. Courtois back in, saves it from Morrison, and all of a sudden Chelsea get the bit between their teeth and take the lead. But that defence looks far from the solid unit it was last year.
Quite the opposite to Manchester City, yet to concede a goal this season. The only team now with Liverpool dropping points with a 100% record. Let's just remind ourselves.
Oh, you're enjoying
Brian? Let's just remind ourselves as to what you had to say in pre-season when you were here last. Manchester City wouldn't finish in the top 4.
Yes, I did say that, and it seems ludicrous right now, doesn't it? Listen, I've been extremely impressed by, especially the back line, but most importantly, Mangala, who last year just kept getting pulled out of position and pulled out of position. That back fours had the lines correct. They haven't. You look at just the game against Everton. They always had Kone dropping in and Lukaku up high. If one dropped low, the other one was high. Last year, one of those center backs would get drawn in there and either miss a ball or they'd play around and they'd be up the side of him. That didn't happen once.
Where are they finishing, Brian?
Listen, I can't this early. I can't go back. I can't.
You're allowed to.
I tell you,
I wait till the transfer window to come.
This is the one time Brian's taking the pressure right off us.
Yeah.
You just said it was ludicrous to think that.
By the way, they beat us
right now. Right now,
All right, then. Well, still to come on today's show, we'll be discussing the best of the rest of the action from a busy old weekend in England. Welcome back. Marcotti, Mariner and Nicol have got this as their team of the weekend. This was before the Liverpool game, Stevie. Would you make any changes?
If I was making a change, well, I would make a change. I would put Petr Cech in for Krul.
Fair enough, I think.
Simple maths. Krul made one world-class save against United, and Cech made 2 world-class saves against Liverpool.
Good, fantastic.
What
I thought Nathaniel Klein had an excellent game today. Maybe your left back that's at a right back position.
Well, he didn't score. Aspilicueta scored and Kolarov scored.
See, there's always a reason, Brian.
I've got all the answers for you.
It's got all the answers.
Why right back's playing left back and vice versa? Yeah. Just the way it is, isn't it, Stevie?
Well, I picked the team.
You make the rules.
I can do what I want.
That's it. But coming up after the break, we'll be turning our attentions to Italy and that big shock as Juventus lost to Udinese. The biggest shock of the weekend, how about Turin? Juventus losing at home against Udinese, the first time they lost on the home soil since the inception of Serie A in the opening round of matches in Italy. Everyone, all of you indeed, predicted Juventus would win the title.
Yeah.
Sackers. That's what people say, you know, when you get...
Great?
If you predict something...
Wouldn't that be great if you predicted it wrong? You're fired. Bang.
Yeah, people do want you sacked for less than that. I believe.
Yeah. Most of them Celtic fans for some reason. Anyway, Stevie.
Listen, Juventus were actually a little unfortunate in this game. It wasn't as though they were poor. They actually were okay. They just didn't take some of the chances that they made. And had they done that, they would have won this game. So it's not a crisis. It's certainly not a good start, but I don't think it's going to affect them too much.
Meanwhile, it looks like Balotelli to Milan.
Good news.
You miss him?
A one-way ticket.
Well, we never see him anyway. He doesn't even get on the bench, so it doesn't make any
his
difference.
dangly earrings, isn't he? Will he be a success?
I think if he ever has a chance of coming out of this sort of doldrum that he's in, I think that would be the place where he succeeded before.
Last chance.
Craig, is it worth the gamble for Milan?
He's in the last chance. He's not in the last chance.
I'm sorry.
Brendan thought it was in.
Should have had no chance with it.
I tell you, it's not as good as this save. Watch this from Coutinho. Go and get me a cup of tea, son. Ooh. And that is an absolutely brilliant fingertip. And has he made up, Petr Cech, with that performance for the one against West Ham? You'd bet your bottom dollar.
I mean, that's in all the way,
yeah,
until he gets that finger on it.
Second half wasn't quite as much end-to-end. Arsenal dominating things. This arguably their best chance. Alexis Sanchez hitting the post.
And I'd like to see more of this. You can see how many players in the box for Arsenal. You can see had players running off, and unfortunately just doesn't get around that ball.
Olivier Giroud here.
That's got to be a goal.
He was pulled back a little bit.
Nobody touched him. He fell over. Watch.
Right there.
Nobody touched him.
What about appeals for a penalty here on Benteke?
Yeah, listen, I think you could definitely call it right here, but also I think Jordan Ibe just needs to be alive a little bit quicker. That ball floated in there.
Coming up on today's ESPN FC, all the highlights from what turned out to be an action-packed game between Arsenal and Liverpool at the Emirates. All the boys' reaction next. Oh.
Oh, he's not very happy with that.
Later,
Oh, why wouldn't
Arsenal
we?
had the ball in the back of the net. It was ruled out for offside. Was it the right decision?
No, it wasn't. So you could see Skirtle just late getting up and then away to the pass. Takes it nice and early.
Well, they're
Near
getting some
post.
luck at the moment, Liverpool, aren't they,
Yep.
Brian? Last week, offside goal given. This one was a good one, chopped off.
5 minutes before the break, Benteke denied by Czech.
That certainly wasn't luck.
I mean, it's a wonderful save, but that ball has to be put in the back of the net.
Welcome in then to the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. We're also welcome former Fulham striker and US international Brian McBride to the show. Let's kick off, shall we? Monday night action at the Emirates. Arsenal taking on Liverpool. What a game this turned out to be. It was a frantic first half, starting off with Coutinho hitting the crossbar.
Well, he's a little unfortunate. Takes it nice and early. Czech's beaten. Unfortunately, the crossbar